Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Leaf Lusts and today on Monstera Monday we are going to be repotting some of my monsteras. So first and foremost we have Tarquin. Tarquin is a Thai Constellation monstera. He's a beauty. I got him just over a year ago as a tiny little baby. These were his only leaves. You see these tiny little ones at the front. This was actually his biggest leaf when I got him. So it's time to repot him. These are the reasons why. I wouldn't usually repot at this time of year, but as long as they're being kept at warm temperatures, it doesn't matter so much. But he is starting to walk out of his pot. He's also just growing really fast. I found he quite likes being repotted on a regular basis. A lot of people will say that monsteras like to be kept snug, which is true. However, I haven't actually found any real negatives in repotting them. So I'm going to do this boy. Now, he has got a new leaf on the way, as you can see here. It's just unfurling at the moment. Doesn't look quite as variegated as some of his other ones, but to be honest, that's a bit of a relief. As you can see, the brown on this leaf, it's not major, but it's happened over the last couple of days. I think he was a little bit close to a draft, and that may have been why it happened, but also, he was in a metal pot, cover pot, and you can see the orange staining on this pot. This was from the minerals from inside the pot. And because he had roots coming out and into that, I'm a bit worried that the salts and minerals actually got up into his water system and upset him, which is why he got the browning. So just to be on the safe side, I am repotting him. I'm not massively oversizing. He's going into this. So he should be quite happy in there for probably about 6 months to a year. So that'll be really good. Now, the other plants that I'm going to repot today are Vera. Vera is my variegated Monstera Albo. Once again, she's got this giant root that's coming out of the pot here. She's been in this pot for a very long time, and the other reason is she just doesn't really like her moss pole, and it's going everywhere. So I'm considering removing it because it doesn't seem to be adding much. I'll probably get her a bigger, better moss pole in time, but I just haven't got one to hand at the moment, and this keeps getting stuck on my curtains and leaving moss everywhere. So this one's also going to go, and she's going to go into the size pot that Tarquin was in, the Thai Constellation. Now, two other monsteras to repot today. We have this baby, which is a Monstera Siltepecana. I got this from eBay. I haven't actually repotted it since I've had him, but you can see that his little roots at the bottom here are coming out of the pot. So I think it's probably best, because it is a very small pot for him, that he comes out of this now. He's got quite a lot of new growth. I've only had him about a month and a half, and he has grown mad. You can see he had 3 leaves when I got him, and he is now growing and reaching for the stars, which is really exciting. So he will be repotted. Then finally, we've got this guy, which is my Monstera Subpinnata. I got this from Twisted Leaf and Vine. He's doing really well. We've got this new leaf coming out here, which you can see the little spike. I actually only potted him into this when I got him, but he's already coming out of the pot, and I just don't want to risk any root rot, especially at this time of year. So I'm going to transfer him into only a tiny bit bigger, but just something a bit deeper, as this is a very shallow pot. So, what am I going to use for it? Monsteras like quite a peaty compost. So I am going to use the Sinclair Professional Multi-Purpose Peat-Based Compost. I've been using this for my monsteras for some time. I found it's really good. My giant monstera, Monica, has been in this compost for 2 years now, thrives on it. So I'm not going to change my basics. They do, however, like it to be airy. So I've got my perlite here, ready to mix in. And with my monstera, I sometimes, depending on how the soil's looking, add a tiny bit of vermiculite as well. So I've got some of that here as well. So let's get started and see what these root systems look like. So I'm going to start with Tarquin and see how easily he comes out of the pot. I'm just going to give it a bit of a squish around and see if we can loosen him up. I'm going to pull from the main stem rather than anything else. The idea of breaking Tarquin is like, I'd rather snap the pot than upset my baby. He is quite in there. Okay, there we go. Here we have Tarquin. You can see he's not too root bound, but he definitely would probably like some different home. So now all I'm going to do, so I don't know if you can see, but I'm just loosening up all the roots. I'm just getting my fingers in there and very gently teasing out the roots away from the soil. Now, because this soil is quite healthy and he hasn't been in this soil for very long, I'm probably going to reuse some of it. I will top up with some fresh soil as well, because obviously it's a big pot anyway, so it's going to need it. But I probably will reuse this soil because there's nothing wrong with it. But he does get fed on quite a regular basis. So I'm just... So one thing just to note, I actually fed a lot of his aerial roots back into the soil, and you can see they've actually propagated. So one way that you can propagate with monsteras is if you do feed the aerial root back into the soil, you can see that it's grown roots off it now in multiple places. So it does make it quite easy if you do want to propagate it. You can literally just snip it and you've already got a root system. So you don't have to worry too much. It's also quite a good way of doing it without air layering on these guys. As long as it's sort of, you can see this really long aerial root that I shoved back in. It's got quite a few roots coming off it. And I tend to do that with all of his. So don't worry if a few roots fall off. It's quite normal. It just means that the less healthy roots fall off. Now I've got no root rot or anything to worry about on this guy. He looks quite happy. We're just teasing some of the soil and the old roots away. See his root system there. It's quite decent. So now we're going to pop him in his new pot. And as I said, I'm going to put some of his old soil in there. I'm just chucking him over there whilst I sort this out. So I'm going to put a bit of his old soil in because there's nothing harmful in it. He hasn't been potted up in it very long, so it's not going to do him any harm. And to be honest, waste not, want not, hey? So I've put about half of his old soil in. I'm going to chuck in some fresh soil as well, so he's got some fresh nutrients in there. And just getting some good handfuls of that. And then we're going to chuck in some perlite, just to make sure that it's nice and airy soil. So I'm just giving it a good mix. I tend to do it with my hands, just get in there. You can hear the dog whining in the background. Right, now I'm just going to chuck in some perlite. Now we don't need as much perlite as we would with other stuff. I'm probably putting in a third in comparison, so probably a bit less actually. Gosh, that's smoky. Now I just get my perlite on Amazon. I'm sure there's cheaper ways of doing it, but I just get the Grow Light perlite. I find it good. I've got no complaints with it, so it's much handier getting it delivered to my door because there's not many places around here to get things like perlite. It's a bit too exotic for Sussex. Right, so I've got my soil mix. Let me show you. It looks like that. So I've given it a bit of a mix around. You can see the perlite white. Some people don't like using perlite because they see the little white pieces and they think, oh my god, I've got mealybugs. But, right, let's get in there. So next I'm going to make a hole to put his root ball. I've just squidged the soil basically to the sides. And next I get him in, pop him in. So I need to make a bigger hole. This happens every time. And I'm probably going to pop a bit of this soil out just so I can sprinkle it on top once I'm done to pack him in. There we go. I tend to use these other pots quite a lot when I'm potting because it's quite handy. There we go. So we've got a good base of soil for him to dig into at the bottom. And then there we are, that's much better. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to try and cover this other aerial root because I would like, as I said before, it's quite handy when they root all by themselves. You don't have to worry about like air layering, etc. if you want to propagate them. So I'm just tucking his spare aerial roots into the soil as I go. Just chucking a bit of this extra soil on top to pack him in. There we go. So we're starting to get there. You can see he's standing up right now. So I've just finished potting up Tarquin. He is now in his mix of perlite and the peat compost in his new pot, so that's great. And next I am going to be potting up Vera. So I've just taken out the moss pole and then I'm going to pot her up. But instead of taking you along for the ride, I'll show you afterwards. Hi guys, so I have just finished my potting. I'm just going to show you what I repotted. So I repotted this Monstera Siltepecana. It was in this little weird square pot, which is a little bit smaller than this one. Its roots were poking out of the bottom. So I've just repotted it in, again, a peat compost. Do you know what I mean? Peat soil, peat-based soil, with some perlite in it. And it looks perfectly happy. And when I was potting it, I noticed that my cakey paste has caused 2 little shoots. So I'm really excited to see if they come to anything, because it'd be awesome to have a couple more growth points on this baby. So we will see. Then my Subpinnata, I brought this from actually this pot, which I have actually just sterilised. I brought it up from this pot into this pot, so no actual difference in the diameter, but obviously in the actual length of the pot. So this one's a bit higher, so that it's got a bit more space for its roots, because the roots were, again, coming out of the end of the pot. So I've repotted it and really looking forward to seeing this new leaf come out, which will be great. Again, exactly the same compost mix as I've used for all the other Monsteras. It basically looks like this. I tend to, every single time I pot up Monsteras, or any of my plants really, I make a soil mix. You can buy them obviously from places like Soil Ninja, but I find it's cheaper to do it myself, and I just pop it in a Ziploc bag. So I've just made up my soil mix for Monsteras. It's ready to go, and it just means that if anything needs a top up of soil or a quick repot, I've got some soil ready to go, which I actually keep in my bedroom because I'm a weirdo, and it's ready to pot up. So I highly recommend doing that because it's a really quick, easy way, and if you're in a rush, sometimes doing repotting can seem like such a task. So if you've got a bag ready to go, all you need to do is pour it in. It makes it really quick, really easy, especially for busy people. Then, Vera. Vera has just been repotted. I've actually taken off the moss pole. She wasn't clinging onto it and it was going everywhere, as I mentioned. So I've just popped in this cane just to keep her upright, and I'll probably tie her to it, to be honest. Again, I've put her in a slightly bigger pot, but nothing major. She did have quite a decent root system, so that's great. But she also was about to walk out of her pot, so she's ready to go in that one. And you already saw Tarquin is also happy and in his new pot. So I hope you enjoyed my repotting video. We've got all kinds of exciting Monsteras upstairs. I also have a Pinapartita, which I did not repot today because she doesn't need it. She's in quite a big pot. She's a big plant. And what else have I got? A Leclinara, whatever that is. I've got one of those, but she's a baby. I haven't actually shown you guys her yet, so watch this space. An Adansono, which doesn't need it, a Peru, which doesn't need it. Yeah, that's about it. Oh, and my big Deliciosa, obviously. She definitely doesn't need repotting. Her pot is about the same size as me. So, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click like and subscribe, and watch out for more videos. I will be doing one very soon on how to buy rare plants for not too much money, and how to budget correctly when it comes to our plants, because I think we're all guilty of wanting a plant that maybe is a little bit of a stretch on our bank account. So I'm going to talk you through how to buy those kind of plants responsibly without breaking the bank account. So click follow, subscribe, check me out on Instagram, leaf_lusts, and see you next time.